Hello everyone, episode 16 of Road to Superbowl podcast that is trying to take you behind the eyes of general management of every single team in the NFL. Here we are finishing the second quarter of our podcast and by definition finishing the first half, and we are going to finish with Jacksonville Jaguars. For new viewers, what is this show all about? We are trying to show you my passion about the best sport in the world, which I consider to be American football or football, depending whether you view this from Europe or from the rest of the world pretty much, or from USA. What are we trying to do that maybe is different to other shows is we are trying to focus more on the aspect of general management, meaning we are not only looking at is this player good, is this player bad, but is he worth the money? What's the trajectory of this team? How should we optimize the window to actually win something, hopefully the Super Bowl? Is, for example, this quarterback, because we're going to talk about Trevor Lawrence, is he worth getting like a Supermax extension? So I'm not saying we are not going to actually care about how good the players are, because we will. That's what the rundown is for. That's the part of the video that will come like from minute 10 to 15. We will start about that. We will go and run down through the entire roster, because unless you know your roster, you cannot assess the players, you cannot assess the contracts and their value, and obviously your window. So we need to have an understanding what we have in terms of our players. But that's not all we do. We will review the 2023 season. That's where we will start. We'll also talk about free agency. And for every team, I have three key topics to discuss. They will either be talked through the rundown, or I will make them a separate topic. So, with no further ado, let's start. And let's start with a vision or imagination. And Jacksonville are not necessarily as a team, but as their situation is right now, is one of the reasons why I absolutely love football. Because let's move 1 year back and try to pretend that we don't know the future, and we look at the situation of Jaguars. And I think if you're a Jaguars fan, this year, this day, just 1 year earlier, you are absolutely flying high, because Trevor Lawrence did forget what happened in 2022 with atrocious head coaching job, with pretty much him being a bad player. Definitely he did not look like a generational talent for a QB, and he followed that up with a very, very good season in which he played like a top 10 QB in the league. Not necessarily the elite one, but the top 10 guy. The best you can ask for a guy after what happened year one. Doug Peterson came, he took the reins, and he kind of put the train back on tracks. You made a huge comeback to win the division over Titans, and then you followed it up to make the biggest comeback in the playoff history to overtake Chargers and actually get to the top 8, to the divisional round. And also, when you took a look at the division, it's Titans just self-imploded. Okay, there was a lot of injuries, but it feels like something is not super alright with them. Colts and their owner is who is he appointing? Is he appointing his golf buddies to run the organization? Yeah. Jonathan Taylor is holding out. Okay, nice. And Houston, you just won your last game to rip yourself out of number 1 pick. So, okay, this division is ours for a foreseeable future. We have Trevor Lawrence, Doug Peterson is here. We are gonna rule. And here we are 1 year later, and situation just take a very nasty turn for the Jaguars, because 2023 season was, I'm not gonna say super bad, because it's not like Jacksonville totally sucked, but They had an amazing run to enter the season. Some power rankings, middle of the season, have had them top 5, top 7 team. It's oh my god, this defense is something. And we just wait till the offense wakes up, and then this is a team you have to count on. They might go and win it all. Okay, that did not happen. If anything, Trevor Lawrence was worse than he was in 2022. He did not have his best year last season. And okay, when I referred to his rookie year, it was 2021, not 2022. Sorry. Yeah, sorry for that. Sorry for the misspeaking earlier. But the defense kind of started to slowing down later in the season. It was kind of Josh Allen or nothing. And the offense just did not improve. If anything, they just were steadily declining. And you've lost the division. If we are honest, Colts were kind of much closer to winning it because how they botched the last play of their season. And when you now look at their division, it's okay, Titans are still bad, but if they will hit on Will Levis, whom they might, because he did not look poor when he started last year, they've made some interesting additions in the offseason. They had a lot of cap space. Okay, let's hope they will not hit on Will Levis, but yeah, they could be a problem. And then Colts, okay, they were this good without Anthony Richardson, and he looked great when he played. Oh, that's not a good sign. Oh, and the Texans. Yeah, the Texans, man. They absolutely hit on CJ Stroud. They have 4 years of CJ Stroud on the rookie deal because they will pick up his 50th option. That's clear as a day. Right now, I can sign up. They just traded for Stephon Diggs, which coincidentally I like as a move from the Bills, but we will talk about that later. But I like it as a move from the Texans as well. So this might be their division now. Take the reins. Yeah. So really, how 1 year absolutely changes the perspective of this division and of where you see Jacksonville to be right now, because I feel like they are in a weird situation. I cannot say they are stuck in purgatory. As you know this term, from maybe Saints or some other teams, but because they have quite a good rookie QB still in Trevor Lawrence, a QB on a rookie deal, and it's not like they are a bad team, but they are not amazing team. Okay, that's the definition of purgatory. So let's try it differently. There is still an upside with Devin Walker. There's still an upside with Trevor Lawrence to hit, and you still have Trevor Lawrence 2 years for kind of cheap. But this situation took a really nasty turn to compare what it was last year. So we will talk about that more during the rundown. But if any team has a potential to be stuck in purgatory, and I'm calling it 26 going forward, this is the team that might just be stuck in, because they could pay Trevor Lawrence top bucks and he could just be very good, not exceptional. And the division will be tough as hell. And they might just be this good because of Trevor Lawrence. He is gonna keep them afloat. He's gonna give them that 6-7 wins. But not that's just gonna be it. So I'm worried about Jacksonville's future. And we'll try to figure out how to prevent that. And maybe you are just saying that I'm panicking from one season in which they actually looked very well for a half of it. The other topics beside the weird situation or purgatory approaching or whatever, or miss the train, closing windows, could also be titles for this, are Devin Walker and Jacksonville 2.0. These topics are definitely closely related. Because if anything was a bright spot for Jacksonville last year, it was their defensive line, and especially Josh Allen. He is their best player. I don't think that's not up for the debate. He is their best player. He might not be most influential because He's not playing QB, but he's their best player. And here's another problem. You are just having him to play under franchise tag. It doesn't seem like he will hold out on anything, but you don't have him for a long term as of right now. So it's a bit of a problem. And I'm like, why are we not signing him? I think he absolutely proved that he deserves a long-term contract, and yeah, I just don't get it why you are not trying to give him the money. Maybe he's asking for too much. You want to see him being the guy he was like last season. You want to see that followed up, or maybe you don't, because you then have to pay him less. But yeah, it's a bit of a weird situation. But if anything, that D-line is something that can be a stronghold for the Jaguars entering 2024. Because, Jacksonville is obviously reference to Calais Campbell and the bunch and the crew from 2018, 2019. That's what their defense almost made them a Super Bowl team. They were close to actually getting there because of the way this defense played. And this group has a potential to follow that up, because Josh Allen is absolutely exceptional. I think he's an elite pass rusher. And then you have brought Eric Armstead, who is more of an interior piece, but to me, he's much better pass rusher than a run stopper. And then you obviously have Devon Walker, who is former number 1 pick. His 2 seasons in NFL were nothing to write home about. He was slightly better last season, but for a number 1 pick, you wanted to see much bigger progress than this. But the potential is there, man. There is no denying his athleticism. If he figures it out, if he now has maybe more lanes open because of Armstead, because of Josh Allen, I can see this group being special and being really a stronghold for this team. So that's really highly connected. We will get to talk more about that when we will run down the D-line. What they have done in free agency, I will also kind of talk about that more with the groups that when we will run through them. But there's 2 guys that I think represent kind of not the beginning of purgatory, but the mindset of a purgatory. And that's Cam Robinson and Foyesade Olaikun. And both of these guys are on the hook for $40 million combined in dead cap. And if you were to cut them, if nothing is wrong with what Sportcheck is saying, which might happen, I don't have how to say it, I don't have it confirmed from all of the possible resources out there, but I trust Sportcheck. If they were to release them, Robinson would only have 4.6 in dead cap, and you would save over $70 million. Which, given his performance, you will see that I rank him as a decent starter, and I actually think that you have comparable option that you are paying $20 million less. And with Olokun, he is a better player in my opinion. He's a good linebacker, but linebacker with a cap hit of $21.75 million. I'm okay paying that for Fred Warner, or hell yeah, for Demario Davis, I paid it. But for Foyesade, no, not really. He to me is the tier 3 linebacker, a good starter, but that's just it. And if nothing is wrong with the sport track in this area, they could have cut him and saved everything. So they could have saved almost $40 million on these 2 guys. That for Olokun, you have some interesting linebacker prospects that are not as good as him, for sure. But yeah, you have $20 million more. And in terms of Robinson, I think you have actually a successor that is with similar skill set, similar quality, and you could have saved 70 millions. So if that were to happen before the offseason started, you could have had 40 more millions to spend in free agency, and I feel like you could have made this team much, much better. And why I'm saying like this is like the beginning of a purgatory mindset or whatever, it's like, but what if we could not sign anyone? Or what if like that guy would need like a long-term contract and we cannot commit to a long term because we have to pay Trevor Lawrence, Travis Etienne, and we have a lot of like rookie contracts coming to an end, so we don't want to commit to players long term. And both Robinson and Oakun are not going to be here for 2025 under this contract. They don't have, they only have 1 year left. I would say okay, but that's where the purgatory mindset to me starts, because I feel like if that was to happen, then I'm okay with it as a Jaguars GM, because what I would do is I would not use all of the cap for this season. I would make like 20 million. I think they could save like 20 million or even 30 million in terms of rollover cap that I can redistribute down the road when I have to pay Trevor Lawrence and other guys. And I don't think I am much worse for it. So to me, like keeping these guys means like, yeah, we still want to use this window when Trevor is paying only 11 millions, and I get it, and I absolutely get it, but I don't think these are the guys for these prices that you should do it for. Like I just don't see it with both of them. So to me, those are the most significant moves that did not happen, and about the moves that did happen, we will talk with the rundown. So that's pretty much it. Now let's go to rundown their entire roster. And we will start with weaponry. For the new viewers, now is the time. If you don't want to only listen to this podcast, but you want to get to meet these guys, want to watch my player cards that I made for them, now is the time that you can learn how those players actually look like. So I give you a couple of seconds to put your glasses back on, and we go to the player cards. Okay, let's go. So again, for new viewers, we will have here players that were impactful in 23, will be impactful in 24, or are on some interesting rookie deals, or just are part of the team. I'm not having like everyone here, it's more like 30 players rather than like 60 or whatever. So I tried to pick the players that I feel like were interesting enough to be brought back, are under contract, or were brought here in the offseason. So we start with Trevor Lawrence, obviously, Tank Bigsby, Travis Etienne, Christian Kirk, Mac Jones, Calvin Ridley, Zay Jones, Parker Washington, Jamal Agnew, Evan Ingram, Brenton Strange, Luke Farrell, Gabe Davis, and Devin Duvernay. Now give me 30 more seconds. Again, for new viewers, now here's the table, how much we are paying these guys, what is the cap hit for each season. And when we move to this table, here we have colors. These colors represent in terms of yellow, the 5th-year option that you can pick up for all of these players, and in terms of red, it's void years or dead cap hit. In this, if you don't see any blue with the guy, then it's dead cap, meaning the player is not anymore on the roster, but there is still some dead cap hit that the team has to pay for him. And if you see some blue before the red, it means that these years are void years, which means this is the money that's been pushed from their contract towards the future, that then they will create dead cap hit in the future years. So you can see for Zay Jones, after this season, he is not under contract for 2025 anymore, but you would still be paying $3.5 million to the dead cap to the cap hit, like not paying like you would it would allocate to the cap hit for the roster. So let's go and check what these players are. Now is the time. You don't have to view this because you had a lot of time to view this table, and we will stick with this table for a while. So Trevor Lawrence, I've already talked about him. I think he's a very good player, but he did not necessarily follow up on what was a second year leap. And in terms of is he worth Supermax extension, I would say right now yes, but I don't think it's a certainty. Like, for sure, you exercise 50th option. I think he absolutely deserves that. But if he plays like he did last year, I don't want to pay him like 55 or 60 million a year, like going forward. So that's a problem for future Jaguars. Let's hope it doesn't happen and Trevor comes back to his 2022 form. But for 2 years, you have him on very reasonable contract because of his rookie deal. You are going to pay a lot in 25, but it's still not what you will be paying 26 and going forward, most likely. With Mac Jones, I do not understand this from his perspective, because I would much rather for him to go somewhere like Saints, like maybe Pittsburgh before the field straight, where you have like an aging veteran QB that like fellow fans or the head coach could get fed up with during the season, and they would hand the reins to you and say like, show me what you have. You are former like what was he, like top 5 pick? I'm not sure, like, but definitely high first round pick. Like, show me what you have, and if you show enough, there's a contract waiting for you and you can be a bridge QB for the team. Here, I just don't see it happening. Like, there's Trevor Lawrence and he's here to stay. And I'm not sure I like it even from the Jacksonville point of view, because I feel with Mac, you are getting low floor, potentially high ceiling backup, which I'm not certain that is something you need if Trevor goes down. But when I thought this really through, I kind of liked it more, because if you feel like you cannot just go by with your QB performance and just hand the reins over to defense in this division, like with CJ Stroud, with Anthony Richardson, you need a guy that can win you games against these guys. I think Mac Jones has the potential to do that, but he definitely has the potential to cost you some games. So it's high risk, medium reward type of backup, which might be what you need in this division. So from the perspective of Jacksonville, I'm not against it. You didn't have to pay pretty much anything. In terms of running backs, Travis Etienne, very good player. I think you definitely pick up the 50th option. Again, maybe you would hope that he is slightly better than he is right now, like given his hype pre-draft and his high draft pedigree. But if he's like, he's like nowhere near to bust. He's a very good player. So maybe you hope for something else, but you are definitely happy for what you get. And with Tank Bigsby, I think he's a very interesting prospect. He was looking very good when he got the chance last year, so that's a good room. I like it. You are not paying much for this. Absolutely on board. With wide receivers, I have to say I like the fact that you let Calvin Ridley go. That just did not work out to what you thought you were getting from Atlanta. He was just not the top guy you hoped. And bring Gabe Davis, I think he's similar to Calvin Ridley in my perspective, not in terms of that he's as good of a player. I think Calvin Ridley is a better player, but I feel like with both of them, you get a streaky guy. You get a guy that can look absolutely astonishing in one game and then kind of disappear for 2 games. So you are getting this element of a guy that could be an absolute impact in one game, again, like more of high risk, high reward type of guy, and then for 2 games, you don't hear about him that much, or you see him drop the ball. So I'm not against this. I think it's an interesting address for Gabe Davis as well. The money are alright, you are kind of paying the potential that he's shown in those games when he has these high highs, but his lows are pretty bad. So we will see how this works out. Then you have Devin Duvernay, Parker Washington. Yeah, it's a decent room. Zay Jones, I think it's his last year here. I don't see them keeping him with Davis on the contract for 25 and 26. So he also might be a guy that I would thought about cutting if I was about to bring Gabe Davis. But it's, again, I think it is more, he is a decent enough player. We are not paying him an absolute ransom, so let's just keep him here to give our offense just a tiny bit more. But it's not worth, in my opinion. So really, I feel like you could have made this offseason a bit different than they decided to. But I'm not blaming them, because I understand you want to be as good as you can when Trevor Lawrence cap hit is 11.7 million. Fifth tight ends, you have your guy in Evan Ingram, you have guys that have interesting potential in Brandon Strange, and you have a good enough guy in Luke Farrell. Nothing to say. I mean, this offense is constructed really in a way. We have our top guy, and then we are kind of missing that second piece. I'm not uberly happy to have like Gabe Davis as my number 2, but it's not dreadful, So you have your number 3s. Maybe they need to step up in more than you would hope them to, but with Gabe Davis, he has actually like a good number 2 in a way that he can win you a game from that spot, but then you just don't have number 2 for next 2 games. So overall, quite nicely constructed offense. I think with a good floor. I'm not saying there is not a potential to be reached, because I believe in Trevor Lawrence and he can improve. And if Gabe Davis kind of can find his form like for every single week, that this could really put this offense on the map. But other than that, I think it's a good offense. It's like B- to B. I would say probably like more like a B- offense in terms of like a weaponry. So yeah, we'll leave it at that. Now let's get to meet our O-line, or Jacksonville's O-line actually. So if you want to meet them face to face in a way, now it's the time to check your screens again. So let's go. Brandon Sheriff, Cam Robinson, Anton Harrison, Walker Little, Luke Fortner, Cooper Hodges, Mitch Morse, and Ezra Cleveland. So here we were before the offseason started, and here we are right now. So pretty much what you can see is they brought back Ezra Cleveland, and they brought here Mitch Morse, who was released by Buffalo. And they also restructured Brandon Sheriff contract, putting some money towards next year's. I've already talked about it. I feel like in Walker Little you have almost as good as a guy as Cam Robinson is, or even as good as he is. So I just don't get why you keep Cam Robinson. Like, again, it's pretty much you keep him because he should be in theory a better player than Walker Little, but is it really worth 70 million in a cap hit? Like, no way in hell. So nope. No, I cannot go behind this decision. With Ezra Cleveland, I might be higher on him than I should, because he was already here like through the last couple of games of the season, and he did not look at home within this scheme, so he needs to figure out this one. And Brandon Sheriff, good enough player, definitely not worth the 25 million that is actually his cap hit because of the void years that he just restructured. Okay, like, all right, he's not worth that, but he's a good player, so he's probably like the best player you have here. So I do understand why keeping him is or was the play. The most exciting guy here is definitely Anton Harrison. because he already played as a rookie. He played quite well. I think that he was their best tackle last year, and I expect him to be the best player of this offensive line almost immediately, but kind of certainly at the end of 2024. Like, I think he has the potential and he's going to fulfill it. Mitch Morse, I don't have any problem with this signing. He's an experienced center. You paid him like 5.5 million in a way for 2 years. In terms of like every single year, you pay him 5.5. Yeah, why not? Like, I understand you wanted to raise the floor a bit. Luke Fortner might be able to win this job. I will not be like super surprised if we don't see Mitch Morse starting, but he kind of gives you nice options. I think he might even slide to a guard in some very weird circumstances because you don't have great depth in terms of guard play. Overall, this line is not very exciting. You just hope that Anton Harrison is going to get better. And it should do its job, but I don't see it as much more than like a D+, C- type of O-line. It's definitely down there within the like poor to mediocre O-lines. It's not dreadful. You have players that could be and should be starters, but more likely than not, they should be starters that you are waiting to replace with someone else, someone better, because neither of them like gets me excited or should win you a game. So I feel like this is the O-line that will hold for majority of the season, but when push comes to shove, when the top D lines are actually going to approach this, they will struggle and it could cost you games. So that's overall for the Jacksonville Jaguars offense. When you combine it, it's C+, C offense. There is some potential with Lawrence, with Etienne, with Harrison, maybe with Bixby, with Gabe Davis. But will they reach it? From what we've seen last season, I'm not sure. So now let's meet the defense. So again, if you want to meet the players face to face, now is the time. I'll give you guys a couple of seconds to watch your screens and we can go. Right, so we are there. Foley Fatukasi, Devon Hamilton, Roy Robertson Harris, Adam Getsis, Tyler Racy, Davuane Smooth, Fuesade Lukun. I'm sorry, I'm pretty sure I'm botching this name. I'm trying, but it's just not my first language, and this is really hard name to spell, in my opinion. Josh Allen, not the Josh Allen from the Bills. I could say arguably better Josh Allen, but no, like Josh Allen from the Bills is still, even when we don't consider the position, I would still take Josh Allen to be a better player than this Josh Allen, but they are both elite. So that's that. Next draft, if there is Josh Allen out there, I would draft him just for fun because maybe it's something with that name. Okay, and then Trevon Walker, Devin Lloyd, Chet Muma, Yasir Abdullah, Caleb Johnson, Jeremiah Ledbetter, Eric Armstead, and that's it. So there's quite a lot of players, as you can see. Here's where the free agency started. And here we are right now. So there's a lot of players to talk here. And overall, this is quite a nice group. Like I said, this group has a potential to be successor to Jacksonville, but it requires Trevon Walker to just hit his upside. Like, it's pretty much all about him, because inside Devon Hamilton, Harris, and Eric Armstead, who we brought, quite a nice trio with Jeremiah Ledbetter out there. Like, yeah, you are happy with this. Like I said, they might struggle a bit more against the run because Eric Armstead, I feel, lacks a bit of this apartment. His amazing starter grade is much more about his pass rush than about his defensive, about his price against the run. But overall, this inside group, quite nice, very well structured. I mean, it seems like you are not paying them, right? It's like just 15 million that cap hit for the season, but it's because the money has been pushed to 27 and 28. So don't let these numbers fool you. You have to take a look at the full picture. But again, this just says we are trying to focus this year when we are not paying Trevor that much and just going for it. Again, I'm not against that. I would do it a bit differently, but with the same mentality, but a bit differently. Maybe giving myself a better chance for next year than this approach is actually doing. But this is as good as this is the strategy I would also go, because like you're not sure what you are getting with Richardson coming back of the injury with the Colts. He only showed flashes, and it's not like he's shown to be a good passer. He just was a crazy athlete. Like that was really nasty what he was showing. With Titans, you probably don't expect them to bite that much this year. They are more in kind of we try to figure Will Levis out. Though with L'Jarius Sneed, as I said with the Titans Road to Super Bowl episode, I feel like they put this team together in a way that if Will Levis is the guy, they will be interesting this year. And obviously you have to worry about Houston, but it's much more likely that you expect both Titans and Colts to be better in 25 than they are in 24. So this is as good a year as any to just try to go for it when you are not paying Trevor much money. So yeah, absolutely on that, but would do it a bit differently with some different players. So in terms of outside, you have Josh Allen. He's an elite guy. I don't think he gets as much praise as like TJ Watt, Myles Garrett, and I don't think he's at their level, despite like he reached that elite type of a player. But you can say that he's elite and they are more like Madden 99 type of elite, like Myles Garrett, Nick Bosa. I do not have like second elite category, but there is I would say there is still a bit distinction between like Josh Allen and these guys. But I would say that for him not to be in this category would be just a miss. I think he belongs in this group. And then it's like I said, it's all about like, is Trevor Walker gonna be amazing? And I feel like he is set up to be that. He is the number 2 or number 3 with Armstead in terms of pass rush. So there should be lanes open for him. Or they could use him as like the guy that you need to double team because of his raw power, just to empower more of Josh Allen or Eric Armstead. I feel like they will put Josh Allen on one side and Armstead next to Trevor Walker on the other and just try to make this mismatch problem. So, like I said, I really feel like there's a potential for this to be a Jacksonville. And I'm going to say Jacksonville because I feel like they are much more going to be about sacks than about stopping the run. I'm not saying that they are exceptional against the run, especially inside. But they are not bad at it. But it's much more these guys can get to the QB, put him down to the grass, and I would not be surprised if Armstead, Allen, and Walker combined could get up to the 40 sacks. I won't be surprised if this happens. And if it does, then yeah, Jacksonville 2.0 is on the table. But it's kind of all about Trevor Walker, because it's not like you have a crazy upside with guys like Tyler Racy or Adam Gettis. They are good pieces, but you don't expect them to be great contributors. In terms of linebackers, I already talked about Foesade. This is a crazy cap hit for linebacker. I just don't get it why you just did not cut him. Like, he played well last year. He's a good player. He's a good starter. Like, nothing against him, but he's not worth this much money, man. Like, again, I might be wrong with the cap hit. I'm trusting Sportcheck on this. But if you could get that, like, why did you not do it? I mean, you have Devin Lloyd, who is very close to him as a player, and that Chad Muma, Caleb Johnson, Yazir Abdullah, Venture Miller, all of these 4 guys as your number 2 whoever wins the job, I trust that he is going to be serviceable number 2 in terms of linebacker. He's not going to be Foyesade, but you are saving 20 millions, man. Come on. It's linebacker position, and we are not talking about Fred Warner or Demario Davis. What are you doing? Yeah, like I cannot get past keeping Foyesade on the roster unless I am for some reason wrong with the cap hit. But I read it several times. Cap savings $21.75 million for 24 in terms of cap hit. So no, I didn't get it. But overall, this is again a group that has a potential. Overall, I would grade them as I would say like a B+ with like A- upside. I don't feel like even if Trevor Walker like hits his upside, that it's still not like D-line of 49ers with Armstead last year. I would say that it would still be something to be desired, but yeah, they have the upside to be one of the best groups in the NFL. But that's the upside. Like the floor is definitely like a B to B+, and we will see if they hit the next stride. So now let's go to the secondary. Again, now is the time to meet the players. And are you ready? Steady? Go. So Rayshon Jenkins, Andrew Wingard, Andre Cisco, Darius Williams, Tyson Campbell, Montaric Brown, Antonio Johnson, Ronald Darby, Trey Hendon, and Darnell Savage. So here we were before the offseason started. And here we are right now. So what you can see, they got rid of Rayshon Jenkins. And I will applaud for that move. But if you got rid of him, why not get rid of some other guys? Right? Okay. I mean, I guess they needed to do this to just go under the salary cap for this year. Yeah, all right. And they signed Ronald Darby for quite a nice contract. So that's pretty much it. Okay, they also brought Darnell they also brought Darnell Savage in. So overall, what this gives you in terms of defensive secondary is good group. You are definitely missing one corner, I would say. Like number 3 is not there. I feel like Tyson Campbell, Ronald Darby are ideally your number 2 and number 3. And I think that's definitely a spot for them to look at in the draft. Like you do not see like crazy holes within this team. Maybe obviously you can address the O-line as well, but I would expect them to just go cornerback in the first round with their pick, to pair it with Tyson Campbell and Ronald Darby. Have this quite nice trio out there. In terms of safety, you are definitely set with Savage, with Cisco, with Wingard. You have pretty much 3 starting safeties that I feel like none of them is super exciting. I think Darnell Savage is the best of the bunch, but nothing to excite me, nothing to be worried about, I would say. So definitely good depth, good money you are paying them. Like you are not overpaying either of them. If anything, you are paying less than the market value for them is, I believe, even though the market values for safety are bit questionable right now. Let's put it out like that, And in terms of cornerbacks, I think there's something lacking here. So that to me makes this a C. It's a C to me. It's just a good group, and they should not cost you trouble. And if you bring a cornerback from the draft with a number 16 pick and he hits, there's like potential to be B minus, B plus, whatever type of room. It should not win you games, but it should not lose you games. I'm not sure if there's anything to add, so we will go towards coaches and the special teams. And with coaches, we will start with Doug Peterson. Oh, what is going on? Okay. What to say about Doug? To me, he is kind of similar to a Sean Payton. The guy that has an amazing pedigree, won a Super Bowl, is more the type that I view it's my way or the highway type of a guy. Like it's really, I think it has to go his way, which for what Jacks needed after the disaster, what was 2022, is definitely what they have needed. But is he the guy that gives you some amazing upside? Like, I think he's gonna be good. But I'm not sure he's out there with the best of these guys. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying anything bad about him, but am I thinking that he is the guy that's gonna give me, that's gonna be a reason why this team is like amazing? Or is he a guy that could like elevate this team? I think he sets the team in order. He cleared the mess after the Urban Meyer. And again, 21, not 22. I'm sorry, guys. Like, I'm somehow like the fact that I'm always talking about 23. So I feel like the year before was 22, but this was obviously first year under Doug Peterson reigns here. So he cleared up the mess. He made this team good. But I'm not sure if he can make them special. And I think in this division, that's something you need. And I'm not sure that Doug Peterson is the guy. Like, I like the floor. I'm not sure about the upside at this point. In Ryan Nielsen, he brought a former DC from the Falcons. And I think their defense overperformed last year. So I'm not skeptical about this hire. I'm not saying it's something spectacular, but I think he's gonna do a good job. And I think he could be a guy that will make this D-line Jacksonville 2.0, because he obviously is kind of a specialist on D-line. So I actually like this hire. I'm not saying it's like something super amazing, but I like this hire. With Press Taylor, you can speak about how Doug Peterson influences the offensive play calling. I feel like they are not getting the most out of the offense, like especially in 2023. Like, there was much bigger expectations than the delivery. So I'm skeptical a bit about this, but it should not be a huge problem. With the special teams, Logan Cook and Joey Sly or Riley Patterson, in one part you have a strength. I think Logan Cook is like a borderline top 10 punter in the league, so he is a guy you can count on to be good. I'm not saying he's like a top guy, but he is B plus type of a punter. And with Joey Sly or Riley Peterson, I don't think either of them are special. I feel like no matter who you pick, he's probably gonna cost you like one game or definitely gives you headaches, but neither of them are like bottom tier of kickers, but they are like C minus to D type of kickers in my opinion. So really nothing you count on as if push comes to shove and you need to have these two kicks confirmed. later in like a playoff game or last game of the season that will decide if you make the playoffs, I would much rather prefer someone better than these two guys. So yeah, that's just the reality of the quality of them, in my opinion. Overall, when you look at the draft, I think there is kind of clear situation how I would approach this, because you have all of your picks. You actually have, I think, like an extra fourth. Yeah, you have an extra fourth pick, so fourth round pick. But you don't have your third because it's a bit down than you have been. So with number 17, I feel like it's either going to be picking the best O-lineman on the board. Again, that's why I would much prefer not to have Cam Robinson, because that would kind of push me to draft here, or you take the best cornerback. And the same, just in reverse, you do with 48th pick, because I just don't think like there's gaping holes in this roster. Like, you know me, guys, I will put it out there, the idea of bringing, if they are up, Byron Murphy or Jazar Newton into this. Like, it's an overkill, yes. Like, I don't think they need these guys, but I think it could be fun to watch. So, now I'm like leaving my GM glasses and I'm putting my fan glasses on. I would I would enjoy to see that, and really try to recreate Jacksonville 2.0. But yeah, let's change to GM back. Definitely, I think you need to address cornerback and the O-line with those two premium picks. I would be surprised if they picked any other position with the 17th and 48th pick. Yeah, like I can see them trading down, to get maybe more flyers on these positions, but I would be surprised if the premium picks do not go this way. And with that, we are saying goodbye to Jacksonville. We are saying goodbye to the first half of this road to Super Bowl. Quite a nice run. I think we are finishing strong. We put up some good plays out there. I hope you guys appreciate it. And I will see you guys with the episode number 17 very, very soon, because halftime only takes 15 minutes. So I'm not gonna not be here for much long. Up to that point, have a nice day. Please, if you like this video or this podcast, however you enjoy this, leave me a like, leave me a comment. I will appreciate. What are your thoughts on Jacksonville or Jacksonville 2.0? And up to the next meeting, have a nice day and bye-bye.